All right, good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started. It's right at a few minutes after 8. So help yourself to some breakfast, biscuits, coffee throughout the day or throughout the morning today. There's some snacks on your table, and we'll have lunch for you guys a little bit later today. But we just are super excited about our ConnectEd conference that we're kicking off. We've got some folks joining us remotely. I believe we've got 10 or 12 in our virtual room at this moment. So we'll still continue to have folks joining us throughout the day. Remotely and on site. I know some other folks are making their way this way. I think traffic's slowing them down, so I've got some text this morning as well. But we're going to go ahead and get started and keep true to our agenda for today. If you're on social media, feel free to share out today. Use the hashtag ConnectEd, see something cool and want to share it with us. You can tag Edmentum or also at Edmentum. Today we're going to be. I want to quickly highlight our agenda for today. It's going to show. For some reason it's not. We'll leave it there. Okay. So our agenda for today, we're going to do some quick welcome and introductions, and I'm going to turn over to Dr. Shane Robbins in just a second to kind of kick this thing off for us. But we've got Kershaw County School District going to share here at about 8:15 a little bit about their implementation. Then we're going to have Clover School District sharing with us remotely. They're joining us from Clover, South Carolina. I think I saw Dr. Nelson Dickey already joined the presentation, so welcome. Then we'll take a quick break depending on our time, and then we'll turn it over to our folks from Darlington that are here, and then we'll kick it over to Lawrence 55, who I believe will be joining us remotely as well. Then we'll take a short break, and then lecture at 5 will take over around 11:45, and then we'll go into lunch after that. And then we're going to end the day, we'll conclude today's session with Mr. Paul Johansson, who is with us from Edmentum, our Chief Technology Officer. So Paul's going to kind of conclude the day with the product roadmap, where we're heading in EdTech as a tech company, and some of the things that is on the horizon for Edmentum. So we're super excited about that. And while I'm introducing to Edmentum folks, I want to also introduce our product manager with ExactPath, Eric Soton is here. He's just going to be listening and gathering some information, some detail. And then we also have Mr. Eddie Crosby, my territory manager here, partnering with South Carolina. And then Miss Kimberly Smith is new to Edmentum family. Our APAC rep was able to join us, I think, from Atlanta. Right? So welcome to the Edmentum family there as well. So without further ado, I want to just thank Kershaw County School District for hosting us today. We could not make this possible without our partners here in Kershaw. They are tremendous, and they graciously opened their doors. And when we kind of floated this idea about them, they were more than willing to host this event for us today. It's really kind of our first try at this, so we're going to learn and grow together. We love your feedback. At the end, we'll probably do some sort of survey, follow-up survey, and get some ideas, feedback, how we can make this better, and some things that you would like to see moving forward. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Dr. Shane Robbins to come up. He is a dear friend of ours and Edmentum partner. So I would ask Dr. Robbins to share a little bit about his background with Edmentum and how he can just share where the implementation is now and some of your history with Edmentum. And so I'd love for you to kick this thing off for us. Welcome, Dr. Robbins. Thanks for
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here in Kershaw County. People out in the virtual world, wish we're here face to face. I know many of us are really tired of doing the virtual meetings. It's good to have the interaction and the dialogue with people. And just by human nature, we like to be around people, and as educators, we like to be around people. So as I start off, and I was driving in this morning, I was thinking to myself, so as I'm talking to some people that are very engaged in technology, I wanted to have some type of metaphor, and I don't know about you all, but a lot of times we have computer glitches. What do our tech people tell us to do? Shut it down, turn it up. I was really hoping 2021 was going to be a reboot, and we're going to be out of this flipping pandemic, but unfortunately we're not, and it has gotten a little bit better, but the reboot didn't work, tech folks, so we'll have to try that around here. No, in all seriousness, I just want to take a few minutes and share some things with you. Many of you are in different stages of implementation, and we are too, quite honestly. But my relationship with the Edmentum products goes back several years, and actually a different state. I really started using the tools back in Indiana over a decade ago. And one of the things that as a superintendent, as a teacher, as a principal, as a superintendent, I've always looked at in the classrooms was one of the things I found that really slowed student progress down was engagement. And so I wanted to try to do something different to make sure that I experienced all different avenues to try to engage students. One of my probably epiphanies was when I was an assistant principal and I was overseeing an alternative school. We just started using Play-Doh, and I had a student that we had placed in alternative school because that student was constantly truant. Just to give you a little background, the student was very quiet, he was obese, and come to find out, he just did not like to be around people. I put him on the Play-Doh products, and again, it's a long time ago, it was a different, kind of look and feel, but that young man made up a year's worth of credit in 6 weeks. And so for me, it really had me focus on using virtual curriculum to meet the needs of at-risk learners to start with. And I actually wrote my dissertation on it. Then what I realized was as I started down the Edmentum path, and we could differentiate instruction and use digital curriculum in the classrooms, I could be sitting next to John Robert. John Robert could be in the 4th grade, but he could be working at the 6th grade level in math, and I'm working at the 3rd grade level. And as a teacher, I could assign John Robert advanced curriculum, and I could assign Shane remedial curriculum, and we could work in that classroom, and it wasn't the old stigma of pulling out students that were advanced and pulling out students that needed remediation, and we could do it in the classroom, and it just really made the teacher not just more effective, but more efficient in what they were trying to do. So, I say all that and the fact that we have learned along the way that the Edmentum products have been very beneficial to us. The thing that I have found most important is, number one, whenever I try to roll something like this out, I make it very clear that there is no shiny object that's going to make you successful. The central piece of success in a classroom is and will always be the teacher. Okay, it will be the teacher. And so I say that because the main investment when we rolled out Edmentum, and as we continue to use the tools, is we have to invest in our teachers and we have to invest in training so that they are efficient and effective with the use of tools. Okay. Before I came to South Carolina and I was in Indiana, I did some research on the school district to see what type of tools they were using. I didn't necessarily want to come in and just kick out, the digital curriculum they were using and bring in Edmentum, although I have found success with Edmentum. Our district, we use the AUS system in Indiana. We turned 2 different school districts I led from C districts into A districts. Now, I didn't do it, our teachers did it. I just tried to provide them the tools to allow them to be successful, but I didn't want to do that. What I found when I researched our school district was we were using all kinds of tools. And when I looked at the usage rates of those tools, we just weren't using them much. And so we were spending a lot of money on a lot of software because, we all can go to conferences and we come back with that conference euphoria. Have you ever heard of conference euphoria? So we see this, product, we see this approach, and we come all back and excited and we go out and we buy it, but then we never use it. And so when I came into the district, real quickly, I decided we were going to purge a lot of stuff. And because we did not have high usage rates, I said, I'm going to bring in Edmentum. And so I brought in Edmentum right out of the gates. And so there were 2 terms that I share with our team a lot. They've heard me say it when we look at what we're doing. And that is, number one, you heard me say training. We have to train people on how to use the tools effectively in the classroom and how they will benefit them, and also how they will make them more efficient as teachers. The second is fidelity of use. We need to, if we're going to invest in the products, we need to ensure that people are using the products. There is this avoidance factor where people don't necessarily like change. They don't want to use something new. And so they're a little bit hesitant to it. And so there is a educational technique, whether some people like it or not, where we do the push support method, okay? And so you sometimes have to push people into change and push them into the usage of something new. Once you get them pushed into it, then you support them. You support them through training. You allow them to feel comfortable in missteps they may have in using the tools. But again, at the end of the day, I circle back to the fact that we want them to feel and understand that they are still the reason why students are going to be successful. We are just trying to help them have the tools in their tool chest that are going to allow them to move kids forward and be successful. So in our school district, we're a little larger than the other two school districts that I rolled this product out in. And so therefore, we do have some rollover and turnover in staff. So you got to be cognizant of ensuring that you're providing training. The other thing is you get that elementary approach, and then as people become more comfortable with it, then they're going to use the tools a little more and become more effective with it. The other thing I think is real important, is depending on where you are in your rollout, is find a champion in your building. And so our Edmentum team will probably remember when I came to Kershaw County, because I was starting at the district level, I found champion principals in our district, and I used them as pilots. And I felt like if they could see the viability of the tools and their teachers could see the effectiveness, then it would start to grow and spread in our district as a whole. And I think later on today, you're going to hear from one of our principals that has had some incredible success using the exact path in her elementary school, and she was one of the champions that I chose. And so again, without the use of our Edmentum tools and without our 21st century modernization of what we were trying to do academically in our district, I really don't know what we would have done. But it was really a smooth transition. Kids already had devices, teachers were already, at that time we were using Google Classroom, they're already using Google Classroom for their assignments, and we rolled into it. We didn't know how long we were going to be out. But we knew at least for the short term, we were going to be able to survive. So I say all that to just say that there is a place for this in what we do in K-12 education. And for us, we have found it to be very successful, to grow students. The one thing you'll also know that the grading metric in the state of South Carolina, just like across the country, when they went from No Child Left Behind to the new act, there is a new component in it. And so what we found when I came to Kershaw County was we had one school that was a watch school, but they have our highest test scores. Well, the reason they're a watch school was because they had no growth. And so growth becomes a really, really big component. I think that's 10 minutes. And so for us, we're able to use our, like I said back when I first started, our Edmentum tools to try to accelerate kids and remediate in the same class and hopefully meet those growth measures and make us a larger, more successful district. So anyhow, that's enough for me. I just really want to welcome you to Kershaw County. Thank you for being here. You're taking a great step. I'm just going to say the two terms one more time that I think are probably the most important things to remember when you're rolling out this product, and that is training, and fidelity of use. And some people you're really going to have to probably nudge into the use component of it. You know, the suite has some really amazing reports that you can use, and you can show your teachers how important it is for the classroom. So again, thanks for being in Kershaw County, and hope you enjoy your day, and good luck in your implementation. Thank you.
Hey, Matia.
Good morning, everyone. How are y'all?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I hope everything works out. Dr. Singh and I practiced yesterday, so I think we're good with all the technology. So good morning, everyone. I hate I'm not there actually in person, but I'm by myself today in the building, so I figured I'd do a little backdrop so you can see my building. We bring you greetings this morning from Camden Elementary School, and we are big fans of Edmentum products. Oh, good. I can see the people inside the building. I feel like I was talking to just the wall, so that's good. So hello. But again, we bring you greetings this morning from Camden Elementary School. And as Dr. Robbins kind of stated earlier, we hit Exact Path. Thankfully, I was at another school when we started Edmentum products when Dr. Robbins first came. So I was a part of the pilot and was really excited about Edmentum from the very beginning. So then when I was able to come to another elementary school and kind of start this implementation, it's really been good to see the growth. So what I'm gonna do today, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about our journey, and then we did some pre-recording of some videos so you can really go inside of some classrooms and see it in action, and then come back and if you have any questions. And then I have just a one-on-one interview with one of my rock star teachers here. I heard Dr. Robbins talk about finding champions in your building. That's really what we've done. We've kind of looked for those champions that we saw some remarkable results with their test scores last year. And we were trying to replicate some of those same things school-wide pretty much this year. So without further ado, let me make sure I can share my screen. All right, so our school started our Exact Path journey about 3 years ago, and we really wanted to look for ways to target all of our students' needs, from our gifted students to our students needing additional academic support. One of our goals 3 years ago was to really look at increasing personalized learning for our Camden Elementary School students, and Exact Path was really instrumental in just kind of helping us meet all students' individual needs. And then you all know, the pandemic hit. I think that was exactly like right about that same year we were starting with implementation. And we had to really learn a lot about Exact Path and some Edmentum products very quickly. So the pandemic, even though like I always try to find a positive in some things, and that was a positive for us because our teachers really had to learn how to read those reports and drive their instruction. Then, of course, last year when we returned to school, half of my school was virtual and the other half was face-to-face. Like many of you, I'm sure you had the same struggles. So we really had to figure out a way to create continuity with our virtual students as well as with our face-to-face students. So again, looking at Exact Path, that was the program that we chose to use because that's what our district had already provided and our teachers were already working on figuring it out. So we probably really learned the most last year when we were going back and forth between what we were doing virtually and what we're doing face-to-face with our students. A few things that I just wanted to hit on when we're thinking about implementation. You know, the first thing was building time in our master schedule. Everybody needs the time to get it done. The second part, when Dr. Robbins said that fidelity piece, it's really learning how to read the reports. And I'm very fortunate with Title I funds. I have a technology coach that we use our Title I funding for, and she helps the teachers with their enrichment time, intervention blocks. She helps them with reading these reports. She meets with the teachers. We like right now, it's always hard to get kindergarten started with Exact Path. So this week she's been going inside the kindergarten classrooms and modeling for the teachers and really just showing them in real time how to use Exact Path effectively. So that is a really good use of us spending our Title I funds. And then we make it very visual. I'm very passionate about making things visual in your buildings and setting goals. And that's a big piece with personalized learning. And then the biggest piece is making sure we remember to celebrate, shouting out our rock stars, celebrating growth. So you will hear us talking about Exact Path. I ask kids all the time, like, tell me how many trophy goals you have. I mean, how many trophies do you have? What's your goal? So really being consistent with that language. And we've learned a lot on this journey that we have. We definitely try to keep our students engaged. And the more you do something, you always have to look for more creative ways to just continue with that engagement. You're going to hear some teachers talk about how they keep their students engaged. Another piece, it's real important, some helpful tips when we're working with teachers. We try to give them some helpful ways to get Exact Path going. So like maybe we just do Exact Path math on Mondays and Wednesdays, Exact Path reading on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And another piece that we have built into our schedule is we have a 60-minute enrichment block with our what we do with MTSS. That's a piece that we district-wide that we have, and pretty much during that enrichment block, our gifted and talented students are pulled out during that time. Our intervention students are pulled out during that time, and resource speech students doesn't always work perfectly. If you have a student who's receiving 2 periods of resource, you have to get creative there, or student who receives resource and speech services, sometimes you have to get creative with that planning. But what our goal is for the teacher to have a smaller group of students in their classroom during that enrichment block. And then during that time, we make sure Exact Path is an expectation to happen for teachers to use that during that enrichment block. And then we use it during enrichment block, but you heard me talk about those students who were pulled out. So we still want to give our gifted and talented students an opportunity to use Exact Path, and of course our resource students as well. So during our workshop time, we also use Exact Path as a rotation. So you'll hear a teacher talk about in the video that you'll see that she does must do's and may do's. So like Exact Path is always a must do in a rotation. Students can, we encourage them if they finish assignments early to use Exact Path during that time. So it's always, we're just using the language, always talking about Exact Path and getting the students more engaged with it. And one of the teachers I was talking to recently, she's added it Wednesday, we have a delayed start. So on Wednesday, she's done something different with her homework. She's only given it, just saying, for you to do 20 minutes of Exact Path on Wednesday for homework. There's nothing else that you have to do. So it kind of keeps the students motivated. And then she also told them, I can see if you have done it for your homework because I can go on and look at this report. So the teachers knowing how to read the reports and knowing how, and the students knowing that that teacher can go back and read the report and follow up on it. It's very instrumental in making sure that implementation is effective. And another thing, I just talked about reports, making sure you inspect what you expect from the leadership standpoint and from the student standpoint and the teacher standpoint. And then Exact Path reports. Some of the reports with the beginning that I looked at a lot, Ms. West, our technology coordinator, just came inside my office, so she'll be here for questions if anyone has any. But the dashboard is a way for you to get that quick glance, a pulse of your building. So that's kind of, when we first started 3 years ago, that's really what I used, was just that dashboard. And I would say, shout out like, hey, 3rd grade has this many minutes on Exact Path. Then the next place, the learning path progress, that's how we keep up with our trophy counts. And we talk to teachers about this a lot during our PLCs. The teacher reports, there's some great teacher reports on there where they actually identify those skills gaps. And that way teachers can focus on grouping students. And that's really where we saw a big benefit last year. I'm gonna talk about 2 teachers in particularly, but on their map, Ms. West, our technology coach, she really looked at the students who consistently completed Exact Path, like really they were working in Exact Path. You could tell from their minutes, you could tell from the progress reports. And then we looked at those students and their map results, and we saw great gains. Like in one particular 1st grade class, I believe it was 88% of her students met or exceeded their growth projection. And then the biggest one was when I had a 3rd grade teacher, and she had 100% of her students who met or exceeded their growth projection. And then when SE Ready scores came in this year, I said, I want to go and look and see what Ms. LaFlemme's 3rd grade SE Ready scores look like in math. And 11 of her students were exceeds. 8 of her students were met. She had 0 students who were approaching, and then she had 2 students who were non-met. And those 2 that were non-met, one was no English, was a complete, did not speak any English. And then the second one was a resource student, but they both made gains on their math assessment. So like that, when we talk about looking for champions in your building, I've had her talk several times to our teachers, like, what did you do? What report were you using? Because that's the kind of, that's what I want to replicate in our building. Like, and I'm not saying everybody's going to be at 100%, but if we strive to get there, and we can hit 80, then we've done very well. We've done our job. So Our focus this year has been a lot on how we identify those skills gaps. And then what do we do when we identify a gap? And what she made it a title, and she called it the Exact Path Boot Camp. And during that time, she looked at where her students were, had easy to see on the reports, like maybe it might be fractions, measurement, and geometry. Well, maybe this week we're going to just focus on fractions. And another piece is when that student is having an issue, you're bringing that computer over to the table and the teacher's doing real-time teaching with those particular skills right then and there. So that's how, and students are placed on their levels because they're already, that path that they're on, it's on their level. So they're able to watch lessons, get assistance when they need it, and continue to move on when they've mastered a skill. So that's been really instrumental for us, is really teaching our teachers how to read the reports and getting our students engaged and excited about the Exact Path Trophy Challenge. And then the next piece, I'm gonna skip a couple of slides. I want to get to the video, but the next piece is really making it visible in your buildings. We show in the cafeteria, that's our cafeteria display that you see up, and the kids get so excited. I have a little small video clip. I hope I have some time at the end, but there's like 7 seconds, but they're all like running up to see whose class is in the lead and seeing which grade level classroom is winning. So they really like doing that. And then we also put it up we put our leaderboards up that's in the cafeteria. In the main hallway, we have several big screen TVs, and we just kind of always keep that going. Ms. West sends us the leaderboard in the mornings on our morning announcement. So as they change, we're telling people. What we did this year, we just told everybody, like the month of August, we want you to just feel out Exact Path. We know it's early, but all our kids are back. Let's just have some fun and during the month of August, see how many trophies we can get. And then September, we started our challenge where the teachers set personalized goals. And Ms. West just shared some data with me yesterday. So far, and this is the end of September, our school, and for math trophies, we have 1,666 math trophies, and for reading, 1,032 reading trophies. So they have definitely been working hard just this school year. And math, we just finished with map testing. So now our new map reports have been loaded, I think, as of Monday. So everyone should have their actual path adjusted now based on the map assessment. So we're excited about how we kicked off this year. And again, it's just a growth piece. And now I'm not going to keep talking because I can, but we're going to take a sneak peek into some classrooms. So I'm going to stop sharing this slideshow and then show you a video that we have here. Let's see.
Hey, so we're here with Ms. Brazel, who's a third grade teacher here at Camden Elementary School. And Ms. Brazel is going to tell us a little bit about how she uses Exact Path in her classroom. So Ms. Brazel, when do you use Exact Path here with your third grade students? And then tell me about how you're tracking it up here on your on your cabinets.
So we use our Exact Path during our enrichment block. They have a must-do and may-dos, and part of their must-do is to spend 15 minutes. They set their own personal timers, and they work on their learning paths. Our focus so far has been math, as we've been adjusting to our rotation schedule. And as they reach their goals and they earn trophies, they write their name on a rainbow, and they're able to come put it on the board. We have class goals that we start setting here as a visual reminder, and then we also, as they each get their own individual trophies, they add them on the rainbow, on the board.
I love the way this looks, Ms. Brazel. I like the
Thank you.
rainbows. I think that's a good way to engage your students during our win time here. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, ma'am.
So now we are actually in Ms. Gant's first grade class, and all the students in here right now are working on Exact Path. We're going to pan around so we can see some of the students in here working, and I tell you, they are working very hard on this trophy challenge that Ms. Gant has motivated and engaged them to do. We're going to talk to one of our students in here, Ms. Caroline Oddie, and she's going to tell us, Caroline, let me ask you a few questions. Tell me about what you're doing right now on Exact Path.
Greater numbers and less numbers.
Okay, and do you like doing the Exact Path Trophy Challenge? Tell me why.
Because then I know that I get more and more trophies and I learn more things on the trophy challenges.
Okay, and what happens if you get to something and you don't know how to do it?
I raise my hand, or on math, I ask Ms Gan if I can get a piece of paper and start counting up.
Okay, and then, so how many lessons do you have to do here before you can earn another trophy?
4.
You got to do 4 lessons. So can you show me? Go ahead and hit play and let's see where you end up. Do you like that this program challenges you to do math that's not quite on first grade level? Thank you, Caroline.
You're welcome.
Hello again, everyone. So we're in Ms. Carmen's 4th grade class, and I have Landon Freeman here, and he's going to tell us a little bit about how they track their trophies here in 4th grade, in a 4th grade class. So Landon, I see you've got your tracker right here. Will you tell me a little bit about how many trophies you've earned so far this month in September?
So I have 7 trophies in math and 5 trophies in reading.
Okay, and what's your goal? And tell me, how did you decide to set those goals at 2 and 8?
So for reading, I decided to set my goal at 2 because I couldn't meet my goal last year, but in August. And I set my goal for 8 for September because I got 8 in August. So that's how I set my goals for September.
And so when y'all get a trophy, y'all come over here and y'all color these in?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then show me, how do you know what your goals were in August?
We flip back and we get to check so we can make sure we beat our goal each month. So we can flip back and see how many we got each month.
Okay, good. I really like that. So tell me on the system, sometimes I get a little bit confused over here when I'm looking at exact path. What does this tell me right here on your learning path? How many lessons do you have to do before you get to your next
So I
progress
have to do 5 lessons before I get to my next progress check.
Okay, and is this your learning path for reading or math?
This is my learning path for math.
Okay, do you like doing exact path in class? Mm-hmm. Tell me why you like it.
I like it because it helps you with all your subjects, and it really just helps you a lot with stuff that you're working on, and it helps you with stuff you've learned and stuff you haven't. So it prepares you for what you're gonna learn, what you're gonna learn next year, what you've already learned.
Very good. Now, the other day when I was in here, you were on a concept you weren't sure about how to answer those questions. When that happens, what does Ms. Carmen help you do?
I usually would go over to her desk and she just walked me through it step by step. Then I try the next one by myself, and then she'd check it and say if it was right and correct my mistake.
Very good. Thank you, Landon. You did a good job sharing with us today. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, Ms. Carmen, thank you for letting us visit your class a little bit. Landon just told us a lot about how y'all are tracking here individually. Now, I see over here you've got another trophy tracking chart that's up. Will you tell us a little bit about this chart and when you use exact path in your classroom?
Yes, so this chart tracks our trophies as a class. So starting in August, that was our first month really doing exact path for the year. So we just made a goal for math and reading as a class to have 30 goals in both. And that also kind of correlated with their individual goals for August. And we just gave everyone the same goal in August, 2 in each subject, to kind of see how they went with that, to really be able to individualize their goals for September. So in math, we beat our goal and we got 39. And then in reading, we got half of our goal, which was 15. So when we were talking as a class what we were going to make our goal for September, we kept our goal at reading because we felt like, or kept it at 30 because we felt like that was something that we could achieve. And then for math, we bumped it up to 50, and that was something that we talked about as a class. And the way I made our class goals was conferencing with them individually what their individual goals were. I counted those up to make our class goals. So then when everyone's doing their part, we're meeting our goal as a class. So like in August, they met their goal. So then we got to come up with how are we going to celebrate. So we had a little popcorn party.
Okay, I think everybody was able to see that video. It's hard. Okay, good. It's hard on this end because I'm looking to see what y'all can see over on that end. So that was our first little, just a quick little exact path success. And I promise it was not, none of it was scripted. It was really off the cuff. Some of it at Landon Freeman, I was really surprised. I was like, wow, he really did good. I think y'all heard me say that in the video, like that's a really good job. And that's another piece too, like during their enrichment block, I try to really get inside of classrooms during that time. And I'll just kind of ask the kids, show me what you're working on. And if somebody is, having trouble, so I don't do it all the time in 4th and 5th grade math, because y'all know 5th grade math can sometimes be a doozy, but especially in the younger grades. Ms. West, we send Ms. West during 5th grade math time, but really trying to see where they are and having them tell me, like, tell me what your teacher's doing. So we can just continue to, replicate that success and just have some really good, some good results. And that's really our goal. The biggest thing with replicating those success stories is really, Edmentum is a great product. Eddie and John Robert, y'all know I love Edmentum, but no product works completely by itself. It takes a teacher, a very strong teacher in the classroom. So you have to have a teacher that really believes in her students. The teacher drives the engagement of the program, and the teacher motivates the students to do their best. And you kind of heard Ms. Carmen at the end when we finished, she said they got to choose. Our video, our tape actually it cut off, so that's why we really just had to cut off right there. But they got to choose their popcorn party. They got a chance. They had some say so and how they were going to celebrate at the end. And I will tell you, Ms. West and I both believe in doing more intrinsic motivation and not so much extrinsic motivation when we're celebrating, only because sometimes you just can't do, all the really, really big things, and you want them to be intrinsically motivated. But with all that being said, you do have to get the students engaged. However, you might need to get them engaged. We do not do when we do only school-wide celebrations that we do, though, are just our shout outs and updating data on that cafeteria board. And that works wonders for us for school-wide. But now the classrooms, the teachers do have an opportunity to do different things in their classrooms. But it could be like extra recess if we meet our class goal, or it could be we have a pajama day because we meet our class goal, or a movie party. So it doesn't always have to cost money. But again, the teacher is the one who drives the program and really gets the engagement. So I have one more video. It's a one-on-one interview that I did with one of our first grade teachers, Ms. Gant. And Ms. Gant is very passionate about exact math. And because she's a first grade teacher, I want to say right now, I'm looking over at Ms. West, she had over 150 trophies in reading and math just this month with first grade students. So that's now, of course, we do exact math with kindergarten, and it's not as easy to start with kindergarten because there are a few steps that they have to do. But you saw a first grader, and you saw that on that video. You saw a first grader, actually, she was able to tell me exactly how many lessons she had, just like the fourth grader. And you probably saw the difference too on the screen that they were using. But Ms. Gant, we went to her today, and she also had really good test results at the end of the school year. But we went to her a few days ago, and I said, can I just record you? I want people to hear some of the strategies that she's done and just kind of hear about some of her passion that she has when we talk about that teacher really driving your program. So we're going to show one more video.
So we're in here with Ms. Gant, and Ms. Gant is a first grade teacher here at Camden Elementary School. And Ms. Gant, I have been amazed by looking at your trophy challenge in your classroom. Your students have over 150 trophies in both subjects. And that's really amazing for this part of the school year, especially with a group of first grade students. So that's a lot of hard work that they've been doing. But I also know that you led the way last year. You were one of our trophy challenge leaders, I believe, all the school year in first grade. So tell me what you're doing to get your kids motivated.
Well, first of all, I do love exact path. I love exact path because it helps me see exactly where they are individually. So I have already started. I've given everybody their individual goal for the beginning of the year. I told them just one in math, one in reading. I wanted to get it started as soon as possible so that I could kind of get a handle on where everybody was, but at the same time let them see that they could do it and get them through their first test. We've also have a class goal where we have set the goal for 50 trophies in just reading. If we get 50 in that, then we will have a class party. And the class party, they chose Krispy Kreme donuts. So they'll all get to order their own flavor, whatever kind they want.
Okay.
If they, as a class, will earn this goal. So as they earn their trophies, I have them come to me. They bring their little computer to me, and they tell me, I will look and see exactly which parts did they pass, which parts did they not pass. And then I sometimes ask them questions. If it didn't make sense to me how they passed this part but not this part, then I ask them questions. But it's giving me input. It's giving me information that I can use to put them in small groups and work with my groups later, my high kids and those that are right on target. I do explain to my kids every time that I'm doing anything with testing. I explain to kids, where they are, where I want them to be, where I want them to go. And I do let them know that they're in charge of that I'll take them as far as they want to go. So I let them know that Exact Path is a perfect tool for that Exact Path will meet them right where they're at, and it will take them higher and higher and higher, that all of these standards that they're learning is what they need to know for first grade. And that if they're higher than first grade, it's going to take them on to second grade. And on, as high as they want to go. As long as they're working there, I will teach it to them in a small group setting. So it helps guide me with all of my little small groups. And then also it helps them, those kids who are highly motivated, they know, okay, I'm doing this in the class, I'm learning these, I already know this, but she's going to take me further. She's going to see where I'm at, and she's going to work with me with this. I have them, if they fail at once, they need to let me know so that I can teach them that in a one-on-one. I'm going to show you how to do this. I had someone the other day who did not know how to regroup. We haven't learned to regroup yet. And she had a regrouping. She said, I don't know how to do this. And I said, okay, so you didn't understand the video. She's saying, no, not really. So I sat down with her one-on-one and explained that to her. We use Exact Path in the classroom for, like, if you get through early, you can go to your Exact Path while you're waiting on the other people. For my high ones who are through in 2 minutes, and my other ones are still, trying to get through the assignment. We also use it during our center time, which is our enrichment time. Kids go out, then I have my high, I have the high, and then I have some that are just at grade level, and then I have some that are low, still in the classroom. And I do it by my tables, but this table and this table, you're on, Exact Path, this table, you're doing this center, this table, you're with me today, or however I'm grouping, but I have 4 different groups usually going. But Exact Path sometimes is 2 of those groups, and sometimes it's 1. Every Friday afternoon when we finish our testing, they get at least 45 minutes in Exact Path without any interruption, because we finished our curriculum for the week, and they get to go on to whichever area that they need in order to make their goal. Most of them have already made their goal. I just have maybe 1 or 2 that have not at this point, but they're, I try to use as many things as I can. In the classroom, our behavior chart, if you pass a test, and it doesn't matter whether it's reading or math, if you if you earn a trophy, not just pass it, you got to earn the trophy. Mm-hmm. If you earn the trophy that day, then you get to go clip up 1 time. If you could, some of them earn 4 trophies, but they just get to clip up one time. Wow. But it's just an extra little motivator for them. Then those that are struggling to do it, we always, we clap for them whenever they earn it. We make sure that we're, making a big deal about it. I let them go tell their last year's teacher. Whatever that I think will make them feel proud and want to do it again. I'm trying to both intrinsically and extrinsically motivate them, and to take control of their own learning, to be able to go as far as they want to go.
Wow. Well, it was definitely evident in your MAP scores last year. Do you think, I know we really looked at your MAP scores at the end of the year because you did lead the way in first grade, and I think all of your students met or at least made progress on MAP last year. Do you think that had anything to do with Exact Path?
I definitely do. I do. I think that you know, when you can see exactly where kids are working and what they can do, then you know where you can take them. And I think the small groups with seeing that on a daily basis, because when I get my MAP scores, of course I can look to see who's in this group, who's in that group at that time.
Right.
Sometimes kids guess and get that, you know, but this is actually where they're working right now, and they have to go through a series of steps in that program in Exact Path. They have to watch the videos, they have to take the practice, and then they have to pass the practice, and then they have to pass the test. So it's a lot of steps, and you know they really are working there.
Right.
So I really like it for those, for all of those qualities. But I use all of that information that I'm getting from that in order to move them further up. So, and it also, it really motivates the kids, especially in first grade. If they think, oh, I'm working at second grade level. All right, this is a third grade skill. I'll say, this is a third grade skill. It might just be one skill, but it's a third grade skill. And that makes them feel like, oh, I'm super smart. And them just thinking that they can helps kids be able to do more than what they normally would be able to do, because you know, I guess Henry Ford said, if you think you can, you can.
Yes.
And if you think you can't, you can't.
Well, that is amazing. Thank you so much, Ms. Gant, for letting us take a little bit of your time today. And we can't wait to chat with a couple of your students later on.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, that was our last video. I know that one was a little longer, but we just really loved her passion in that video. Ms. Gant gets really motivated about her students, and I thought she talked about some really good strategies in there that she was using in her classroom, like them getting the chance to choose the donuts, going and telling a teacher. So again, you know, just replicating that success. So if you have any questions for us, I do have Valerie Weston here. I know enough about the reports. I've learned the most about the reports from Valerie. It is definitely a team effort here at Camden. Valerie just doesn't like to get on camera, but she has taught us a lot about Exact Path. So she's really the mastermind behind us reading the reports and getting really creative with how to implement it here at our school. Any questions?
Okay, so you were sharing a lot about, you know, all of the excitement, which is fantastic, but how are you dealing with those that maybe aren't as excited for the implementation?
The ones who are not as excited, is that the question?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll be honest with you, it's kind of, I mean, interesting. Most of our kids pretty much get excited about it. Typically I don't have a teacher who comes to a PLC and says, hey, you know, I'm really struggling with this child getting excited about doing their exact path. And I think it's just the expectation that we set up because it is a part, I mean, it is a must do. So it is a part of their enrichment block. Like there's not, if I don't feel like doing exact path today, I'm just not going to do it today. Now you might, and another thing too, it's that accountability piece, because the teacher can see if a student is just on exact path, let's say for 30 minutes, but they haven't done any progress checks. So then that means, you know, hey, you're just sitting on exact path, you're just being idle on there. So just that teacher, I think, again, the instrumental piece is the classroom teacher, the teacher being able, and I've had some teachers who have been not as excited, but just not as excited, like getting it started in their classroom. And basically what we have said to those teachers is you've got to drive this in your classroom. Like you've got to set that expectation. And the more we track the goals and everybody sees, you know, like here's 5th grade and here's that teacher that's going above and beyond, and that next teacher that next PLC meeting, because I'm in the PLC meetings, Ms. West and I are there together. So, you know, like the expectation is just set, like this is a school-wide goal. We're all doing personalized learning. So what else could we help you do? Do you need me to come in your classroom during an enrichment block and help motivate some friends? Ms. West might go in the classroom during an enrichment block and assist with that. So that's typically what we've been able to do on this end is just again set the expectation.
Well, and once the teachers see the results and testing.
Ms. West just said a good point here too. Once teachers see, when we did have some people, I do remember now, you're right, who had struggles getting engaged. But once they see the results on MAP testing, then that changes when we're able to say, well, this classroom consistently used exact path, and this was this teacher's progress. And those kids, because we do a good, we really work hard to make sure our classes are very evenly spread out. So, you know, making sure we have the same amount of gifted and talented students and intervention students and resource students, and about each is pretty even. So test results should also be pretty even per grade level.
That's great. How long has that been an expectation?
Did you say how long was that an expectation?
Yes.
So last year, 3 years ago when we started, we started very slowly. Like we just kind of said, let's get on exact path. Let's learn how to read the reports. Last year though, that was once we saw the results from the fall to the winter, and we saw, like, I think it was, I've got the number written on one of these slideshows, but I believe it was over 85% of those students met or exceeded their growth projection from fall to winter. And typically we don't see those kinds of results on MAP. Then we really started kicking it in, like, okay, y'all, this is what we've got to do. So I will say, once we got those MAP results and really started looking at students who were consistently using the program, and then the beginning of this year, you know, that's how I started the year. When we got our SC Ready results, I had Ms. LaFlemme come up and she presented. We looked at all of her data. We looked at her kids in exact path, her kids in MAP, and then her kids in SC Ready. Same with Ms. Gant, looked at the data. And we had some other teachers who did really good, just they maybe weren't just quite as high, like maybe it was more like 75%. And, you know, we had a upper grade and a lower grade. And so that expectation was set this year at the very beginning of the school year. Like, if there's anybody now, if I see that you're not using exact path right now, you're gonna have a conversation with me about why and what's the issue and what do we need to do to get you going.
Matia, fantastic job. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Dr. Robbins, I want to say one thing real quick.
Matia, awesome. I wanted to just kind of follow up her presentation and say that right there is why you have to have a champion in your district. And she has been one of our champions. And, you know, although she's passionate about this, I think the biggest thing that they've been able to do is demonstrate the success. And, you know, when teachers see another teacher becoming successful, all of a sudden that apprehension starts to go away. And so there's no way at our level we can manage the accountability to that degree. She's done it with positivity and support. And Matia, with you on there, I just want to again say thank you. It's a wonderful demonstration of what it can do for the kids in the Kershaw County School District and your students as well. So thanks for being one of our champions.